Are you ready for some easy printmaking techniques? You really need paper, paint, and basically you could use recyclables or a bunch of junk that you have laying around, or maybe a few sponges. So there are some cool sponges that are compressed that you could draw on and cut out. Now I let the older kids do this themselves. I would recommend that they make the shape out of oak tag first and then trace it on the sponge and cut it out, because they're kind of expensive. I would recommend cutting their own sponges like 3rd grade and up, supervised. So I am using just regular tempera paint. I'm making a little puddle to put the sponge in, and I show the students if it's really shiny and really wet with too much paint, you'll just kind of get a squishy blob. You won't really get the shape or the texture of the sponge. So you need to wipe it off on the edge of the plate and then just pat it gently. Sometimes when my students are printing with found objects, I also give them some sponges that I have cut out to use along with those objects. And you don't have to buy sponges. I found this square white sponge inside of a box, a little jewelry box. You might have some natural sponges around. Those are nice to give a textured background. Or you could paint in some positive space or negative space. Mixing the colors in sponge paint is fun, not mixing them like with a brush, but as you could see it looks a little bit purpley where I put the blue over the pink. Even though the paints didn't actually mix, it mixes with your eye when you see them both close together. Okay, so now we have reached what I think is my favorite technique ever. So using all of these objects, a Jello cup, a gelato cup, a paper towel tube, which actually, if you look closely, you could see that the paint makes like a bubble on the end of that paper tube that I just squished it into the shape of a little leaf. I'm using a marker cap right now. I just keep a whole bunch of junk items, recyclables, that I use with classes so that they can print circles and lots of other shapes. I'm sure that you could start collecting things like spools, and I'll tell you, this gelato cup, I was so excited that when I got the gelato in this cup, I had to ask for a few more so that I had enough for my class to use. So anyway, I love being able to just put things in the paint. This is just a piece of cardstock on end making lines. The possibilities are endless. Here is a student's work. It's interesting to see how they place things. This is how I put the items on the table for the young kids. Paint in a plate. Everything else, all the objects around it on the tray. And then I actually move the trays from table to table for the kids, or I have them move. Don't forget you can use Q-tips too. Lots of ways to make marks.